What is up, night folks? It's the killer you know, and I am back again to share another spooky, intriguing, or rather disturbing true crime tale with you. Today, we delve into a case so horrifying that its details will leave you speechless and terrified. Brace yourself for the notorious Wichita Massacre, a story that will send chills down your spine. I must warn you, the events we are about to recount are extremely disturbing. If you're like me, this tale will have you checking your locks and casting weary glances over your shoulder for weeks to come. If you have the courage to continue, then let's dive into this harrowing account, for the twist at the end will leave your mind spinning. Our story begins with two brothers from Dodge City, Kansas, named Reginald and Jonathan Kerr. These brothers had a very close bond, but unfortunately, it led them down a dark path of committing a heinous crime. Reginald and Jonathan had a difficult childhood marked by tragedy. The death of their 2-year-old sister when they were just kids caused their family to fall apart, and the brothers had to grow up quickly. It is said that they suffered abuse, neglect, and terrible acts committed against them by their mother's numerous boyfriends. These experiences left deep scars as they grew up. By the time Reginald turned 18, he had been involved in many fights during his school years. His younger brother Jonathan, who was 16 at the time, struggled with his own inner demons and even attempted to take his own life. As they became adults, they got into trouble with the law frequently. With a long history of criminal activities and a desire for wrongdoing, it was only a matter of time before their destructive impulses found an outlet. Unfortunately, that opportunity came sooner than anyone could have expected. The brothers targeted Wichita, Kansas, and set out on a journey that would forever scar the city and its people. On a cold winter night, with freezing temperatures, they crossed paths with a young man named Andrew Schreiber. Unaware of the danger, Andrew had unknowingly entered the wrong place at the worst possible time. As he returned to his car after a quick stop at a convenience store, he was confronted by the Kerr brothers at gunpoint. They forced him to drive to different ATMs, making him withdraw cash before leaving him in a remote area after leaving a bullet in his tire, puncturing it. The crime caught the attention of the police, and after a thorough investigation, Reginald was eventually found guilty for this crime. Somehow, his accomplice, who remains unidentified to this day, escaped justice. This incident was a chilling warning of the horrors yet to come. Just 3 days later, Reginald and Jonathan roamed the neighborhoods of Wichita, searching for potential victims. They came across Linda Ann Walenta, a woman sitting in her car parked in her driveway. Some reports suggest that the brothers had followed her home and singled her out as a target. Linda, a 55-year-old cellist and librarian, was startled when one of the brothers approached her car unexpectedly, begging for help. Linda, a bit confused about what he was asking for, decided to roll her glass down to understand what he meant but was caught off guard. In an instant, his expression changed, and he pointed a gun at her. Startled, Linda tried to start her already running SUV, but it struggled and wouldn't reverse. Before she could escape, one of the brothers shot her 3 times, severing her spinal cord. Despite her pain and confusion, Linda desperately managed to sound the car horn, alerting a neighbor who quickly called the police. The Kerr brothers fled the scene, leaving Linda fighting for her life. When the police arrived, she was sent to a hospital. Because of her conditions, she couldn't give authorities enough details about her attackers. Sadly, her injuries proved fatal, and she passed away shortly after the incident. The descriptions Linda provided to the authorities, though limited, served as crucial leads, linking her attack to the previous assault on Andrew Schreiber. But the Kerr brothers weren't done yet. Driven by a sadistic desire for violence, they embarked on an even more horrifying endeavor, one that would shock the world. If you are already terrified, this is your chance to stop this video and go to bed peacefully. But if you are in with me, then get ready for the darker details that lie ahead. On that fateful evening of December 14th, 2000, a woman who prefers her identity to be kept hidden, nicknamed Holly G, went to spend the night at her boyfriend Jason Befort's house. Jason, a science teacher and coach, shared the house with his roommates, Bradley Haka, a 27-year-old financial analyst, and Aaron Sander, a 29-year-old priesthood student. These three young men lived together peacefully and occasionally had their girlfriends come over. Little did they know that that evening would turn into a nightmarish tragedy. Holly arrived at Jason's apartment with her pet while Jason was still out. His roommates kindly let her inside while she waited for his return. Holly settled into Jason's room, watching TV and grading papers, as she was also a teacher. Later, Heather Muller, Aaron's ex-girlfriend and a preschool teacher, arrived at the apartment. As the night went on, Heather ended up sleeping in Aaron's bed, while Aaron himself slept on the living room couch. Bradley slept in a separate room in the basement. When Jason finally arrived later that night, he made sure the place was secure and locked all doors before joining Holly in his bedroom. They were enjoying the peacefulness of the night when suddenly the porch light turned on, startling them. They listened carefully, trying to figure out what caused it. But before they could investigate, they heard voices from nowhere escalating into shouts. Fear gripped Jason and Holly as they lay in bed, unable to comprehend the nightmare unfolding before them. Moments later, the bedroom door burst open as a stranger entered, ripping off the bed sheets and exposing the vulnerable couple. Another tall man came in, dragging Aaron with him, having snatched him from the living room and thrown him onto the bed with Jason and Holly. The intruders had guns, and their evil intentions were clear. Despite their fear, Holly, Jason, and Aaron revealed that Bradley lived in the basement and Heather occupied one of the other bedrooms. The Kerr brothers found Bradley and Heather, forcing them into Jason's room with the others. When they were all captured together, the captives realized the danger they were in, completely at the mercy of their armed tormentors. Reginald and Jonathan heartlessly ordered everyone to undress and hand over any money they had. Their demands escalated, threatening to harm Holly's dog if she didn't comply. For the next agonizing hour, the Kerr brothers subjected their victims to more than just robbery. They herded them into Jason's closet, making them go through a sickening display of abuse. Each victim was brought out into the hallway in groups, forced to witness and participate in acts of non-consensual intimacy under the brothers' menacing gaze. They were forced to sleep with each other in an ungodly manner. The details of this act is so gruesome that we can't talk about it here on YouTube. The closet became a terrifying scene of horror, a witness to unspeakable acts. In the midst of fear, one of the captives couldn't control their terror and ended up urinating on the closet floor. This horrifying situation continued, with the Kerr brothers relishing in the power they had over their victims. During this ordeal, the Kerr brothers forced all the men, including Heather, to engage in acts they didn't consent to, subjecting Holly to unimaginable torment. Aaron, a student training to become a priest, initially resisted because he was in the process of being ordained and couldn't afford to indulge in such immoral acts. But the relentless violence forced him to comply, as the brothers' blows to his stomach were too much to bear. The cycle continued, with Jonathan sexually assaulting Holly after his brother Reginald had done the same. The victims' pleas for mercy fell on deaf ears as the Kerr brothers reveled in their sadistic fantasies. The Kerr brothers' thirst for power and control wasn't satisfied. They wanted more from their captives and demanded to know who had ATM cards. One by one, Reginald took the victims to nearby ATMs in Jason's pickup truck, forcing them to withdraw as much money as possible. In the end, the Kerr brothers collected around $2,000, taken from their terrorized victims' accounts. While Reginald was away, Jonathan saw an opportunity to assert his dominance. He dragged Holly out of the closet, subjecting her to more torment. He assaulted her gruesomely. After satisfying his twisted desires, he turned his attention to Heather, continuing the cycle of anguish. When Reginald returned, he sexually abused Holly again, followed by Jonathan, who once more forced himself on both young women. Holly and Heather were completely wiped out. They had not a single strength to grasp for air left. The Kerr brothers revealed in their complete control, their sadistic pleasure seemingly boundless. As Holly laid down in pain, she heard Reginald say a chilling statement to her. "Don't worry, I won't kill you yet." His heartless words emphasized the depths of their evil hearts. After fulfilling their sickening desires, the Kerr brothers ransacked the house, searching for valuables to satisfy their insatiable greed. In the process, they made a disturbing discovery. Underneath Jason's bed, hidden in an empty can or box, was an engagement ring, a symbol of love, hope, and dreams for the future. The brothers forced open the closet door, revealing their find to the captives. They angrily asked who owned it, threatening to bludgeon everyone if no one responded. Jason weakly raised his hand, acknowledging the significance of the ring, and looked sadly at Holly, his voice trembling as he said, "That ring was meant for you. I was going to ask you to marry me." But fate cruelly denied them the chance to have a life together. The engagement ring, which became a symbol of shattered dreams instead of love, would never be worn by Holly. About 3 hours after the nightmare began, the Kerr brothers led their captives outside into the cold yard. One by one, they were forced into 2 cars, driven to an empty soccer field nearby. As the vehicle stopped, the captives were made to kneel, realizing the chilling truth. They were about to be killed. "Oh my God, they're going to shoot us." Holly cried out in anguish, desperately begging for mercy. But Reginald and Jonathan took turns executing each defenseless victim, callously ending their lives while their pleas for mercy faded into the night. Holly, the last to face their wrath, felt her life slipping away as the final bullet pierced her, sealing their unimaginable cruelty. After shooting her in the head, the Kerr brothers heartlessly kicked her lifeless body, causing it to fall face down into the unforgiving snow, mirroring the fate of the others. To ensure the victims' demise, they ran over their lifeless bodies with a truck, committing a final act of brutality before fleeing into the night. The field stood as a witness to this unspeakable tragedy, a testament to the depths of human cruelty. The silence that followed the carnage was broken only by the pleas for mercy, forever unanswered. The darkness had claimed the lives of 5 innocent friends, leaving a void in their loved ones' hearts that could never be filled. But amidst the darkness, a glimmer of hope emerged. Holly, disoriented but alive, realized she had miraculously survived the ordeal. A bullet had struck the back of her head, yet she managed to cheat death. You see, when she was leaving home to Jason's, she pegged her pony with a clip, not knowing it was going to save her from an evil ordeal that day. The bullet struck the clip, reducing the impact of the damage. Fueled by sheer determination, she pretended to be dead until she was certain the Kerr brothers had left. How did she find the strength to endure such terror? She must have endured so much after the brothers run that truck over them. As you've made it to this point, I know you must be terrified and wondering how cruel people can be to do this to anyone. Well, do you know what would be more cruel? Not subscribing to this channel. We offer you true spine-chilling crime stories that will leave you questioning the sanity of man and existence. Subscribe to us today and enjoy more terrifying mysteries to come. Back to our tale. Naked, wounded, and with frostbitten feet, Holly embarked on a treacherous journey to seek help. Every step was a battle against pain, fear, and exhaustion. She ran over a mile through the freezing cold, navigating snow-covered fields, a construction site, and a dangerous pond, relentlessly pushing herself forward. With every passing car on the nearby road, she felt a rush of fear, unsure if the brothers would return to finish what they started. Each time, she dropped to the snow, hiding from potential danger. Her determination never wavered. Finally, she spotted a house decorated with white Christmas lights in the distance. Driven by desperation, she jumped over fences, some with barbed wire, and hid whenever cars passed by, fearing they might expose her. With her body battered and her mind gripped by terror, she reached the house. With trembling hands, she knocked on the door, pleading for help. A couple answered, shocked to see a blood-soaked naked woman standing before them in the early hours of the morning. Despite their astonishment, their compassion prevailed. They quickly wrapped Holly in a blanket, offering warmth and comfort in her darkest hour. The police were called, but Holly feared that death might claim her before help arrived. She urgently recounted the horrors she had endured to the couple, who later relayed the information to the 911 dispatcher, her words becoming a lifeline for her survival. When the authorities arrived, Holly's resilience had paid off. She was still alive, a testament to her indomitable spirit. Questioned by the police, she shared the nightmarish ordeal as best as she could, providing important details that would help capture her tormentors. Rushed to the hospital, Holly defied the odds, her fractured skull and frostbitten feet serving as evidence of her unwavering willpower. Unfortunately, her friends had not been as fortunate. The Kerr brothers, in their heartlessness, had taken innocent lives, forever altering the lives of their families. Do you want to know what happened to Holly's dog? Well, the Kerr brothers, after murdering all of her friends, went back to Jason's apartment and shot Holly's dog. It's hard to comprehend why they felt compelled to unleash such cruelty, but evil often defies explanation. As law enforcement secured the crime scene, an observant officer noticed something unusual. A car drove past the scene in the early hours of the morning, which was strange given the secluded location and the snowy roads. It was winter and people preferred to stay indoors to feel comforted by the least source of heat they could get. Driving outside at that time and location was a lot to be suspicious about. What caught the officer's attention was the driver's unwavering focus. He looked forward as he drove without turning to see what was going on, as if seemingly unaware of the crime scene surrounded by police tape. Acting on instinct, the officer recorded the license plate number, alerting a sergeant to intercept the vehicle and identify the driver. Fate, however, played a cruel trick. The driver turned out to be Reginald himself. But at that moment, the officers didn't have enough information to arrest him. He was allowed to drive away, evading justice, at least for the time being. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, the Kerr brothers remained at large, lurking in the shadows, a sinister presence hanging over Wichita. The authorities pursued every lead, tirelessly searching for evidence to bring these cold-blooded killers to justice. Just when it seemed like the brothers had successfully committed perfect crime, fate intervened once again. On January 19, 2001, a routine traffic stop led to the arrest of the Kerr brothers. They were found with stolen firearms belonging to the victims, providing more evidence against them. The Kerr brothers were subsequently charged with multiple counts of murder, attempted murder, kidnapping, and robbery. The trial that followed captivated the nation, shining a light on the darkest corners of the human soul. In October 2002, a jury found Reginald and Jonathan Kerr guilty on multiple counts, sentencing them to death. The verdict brought some closure to the victims' families, acknowledging that their loved ones' lives were not lost in vain. However, the wounds left by the Wichita Massacre will never fully heal. The echoes of that horrific night continue to resonate, a chilling reminder of the darkness that can exist within us all. And now, night folks, we've reached the end of this harrowing tale, a haunting testament to the depths of human depravity. Let us remember the victims, a reminder of the preciousness of life and the urgent need for compassion and vigilance. May we find solace in the fact that light can emerge even from the darkest places, as Holly's survival and resilience demonstrate. Let us hold on to hope and strive to build a world where such atrocities remain distant nightmares. Good night, night folks. Sleep well, if you can. It's the killer you know.